This video is made for all you teachers out there, as well as any beginner digital artists looking to get a grasp on which is the best free digital art program for you. I'm Aaron, a fellow art nerd in high school, and I'm volunteering at Wing Canvas because I have a passion for digital art. Sadly, a lot of schools don't seem to teach digital art. Now, that might be because a lot of people think it's not a real medium, like watercolor or acrylic paint. And I think that's far from the truth. Digital art is getting bigger and bigger and more popular by the day. We at Wing Canvas believe that it is actually the future of art. Now there are so many good digital art programs out there that you may feel a little overwhelmed on where to start. So let's get right into it. The first free digital art programs I'm going to go over today are those designed for digital drawing and painting. Now that's like using watercolor, charcoal, or acrylic paint, but in a digital setting, so you don't have to actually go out and buy the materials, which is a lot better if you are on a budget. Medibang has gotten super popular recently, and within reason. The program is a joy to use, and would likely be one of the go-tos for any beginner digital artist. Medibang has a ton of customizability, including brushes, preferences, shortcuts, etc. It has a simple UI and descriptions for each tool in the corner of the screen, so it's easy to pick up for newbies. A lot of art programs seem to have trouble running smoothly, which of course is a concern, but Medibang runs as smooth as butter on my subpar computer, so there should be no worries there. The features of Medibang are also fantastic, as a majority of the features in industry standard programs like Photoshop, and has a cloud storage system, so you don't need to be afraid of losing any of your work. The only downside is that you need to have an account to access the portion of these features, such as the cloud and importing brushes and fonts. There are a couple of ads in the program, but those only show up when you launch the program, so it doesn't interrupt your workflow. But I know what you're thinking. What devices does it work on? Well, I have good news for you, as Medibang is on every platform, including mobile devices and Chromebooks. And that's why we use and recommend Medibang for all of our beginner digital art classes. And no, this isn't sponsored. Overall, I give Medibang a 5 out of 5 for compatibility, 4.5 out of 5 for features, a 4 out of 5 for easiness, and 5 out of 5 on performance, our top pick for drawing and painting. Next is Firealpaca. Firealpaca is a program you may have heard of when it comes to digital art, as it is fairly well known. Some of our teachers at Wing Canvas refer to it as a simpler Medibang, which makes sense. Firealpaca has a very similar UI to Medibang, as well as a small portion of the same features. However, Firealpaca is a program you'd probably give to someone who has never touched a digital art program, ever, because the program is super simple, which gives it the ability to be picked up super fast. However, compared to Medibang, it is incredibly limited with its features. It is definitely not a program that is used as an industry standard due to the lack of advanced features, but again, it can be very useful to teach a younger or less advanced group of students. So overall, I give Firealpaca a 3 out of 5 for compatibility, a 2 out of 5 for features, a 5 out of 5 for easiness, and a 5 out of 5 for performance. Krita is a fantastic program in my opinion. Now that could just be me being biased since it was the first digital art program I ever used, but it's probably not the best program to use for beginners, as the UI can be very overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing, which gives it a bigger learning curve. But if you can get past that, the program has so much to offer, like animation. The program has customizability in brushes and preferences, and Krita also has fantastic features which include the majority of advanced features in other programs such as Medibang or Photoshop. Though it is much different when it comes to UI, so it may take longer to get used to the industry standard programs. But there is one thing that it has to offer that these other programs don't, and as I mentioned before, it has the capability of animation. Again, the animation takes a little bit of finesse to get right, but come on now, it's a free program with animation capabilities, and that's fantastic. One issue though, there is no cloud storage, and for a program with animation, which tends to take up a lot of time and are quite large projects, that's a bit disappointing. Surprisingly though, even with these capabilities, Krita still works on lower end computers, which is quite impressive. Overall, I give Krita a 3 out of 5 for compatibility, a 5 out of 5 for features, a 3.5 out of 5 for easiness, and a 4.5 out of 5 for performance. Ibis Paint X is a program you may have actually seen a little bit over the internet, mainly due to how simple and smooth it is to use, so a lot of art TikToks use this program. It's entirely mobile based, so you only need to have a phone and a finger, or a stylus if you want to go the extra mile. The program is incredibly simple to pick up, but that comes at the cost of having less of the more advanced features, meaning it is not industry standard and has a large learning curve from this program to another. Due to this program being a free mobile app, you can expect ads on it, as well as features locked behind a paywall. such as even simple features like different brushes. But overall, I give Ibis Paint a 2 out of 5 for compatibility simply because it's only on mobile, a 2 out of 5 for features, a 4 out of 5 for easiness, and a 5 out of 5 for performance. These next programs are those designed for graphic design and photo editing. Now, this is optimal for creating posters, logos, or making vector art. These programs are a lot different from the drawing and painting programs as they work with vector images instead of bitmap images. Now, vector images are made with shapes and lines instead of bitmap images where they work with freeform lines that you draw yourself. Vector images can be nice because you can scale them up and down and they won't lose any resolution or quality. Let's get right into it, starting with Figma is another quite impressive program, and it's all browser-based, meaning it is a website, allowing for it to be accessed from any device and no download necessary. It is fantastic for group projects as it allows live edits from other collaborators. Think of Figma as Adobe Illustrator meets Google Docs, and it's free to use. It's very simple to understand and also includes easy tutorials. A few downsides may be that a few features are locked behind a paywall, such as the number of people in a project, and you may need to have a better computer for smaller files as it can cause lag. But our design team at WinCanvas has converted from Illustrator to Figma because it allows for live collaboration. It's just a fantastic program and I highly recommend checking it out even if you're not going to use it. Overall, I give Figma a 4.5 out of 5 for compatibility, a 4 out of 5 for features, a 5 out of 5 for easiness, and a 4 out of 5 for performance. The next program in this category is named Gimp. Gimp is a very different program from all the other programs previously talked about because it is more of a photo editing program rather than a graphic design tool or digital painting tool. It has those features that you think of when someone says the word Photoshop. Don't let this simple use deceive you, however. Gimp is actually quite advanced and can be very intimidating to beginners. Gimp is also fantastic on the side of compatibility because it is also compatible with Chromebooks and runs quite smoothly overall. But it is not as compatible with mobile devices, such as phones or iPads. Overall, I give Gimp a 4 out of 5 for compatibility, a 2.5 out of 5 for features, a 2.5 out of 5 for easiness, and a 4 out of 5 for performance. We only have one program that we'd like to discuss in the category of 3D modeling softwares, and that is the one and only Blender. Blender is a program that really outshines all the rest when it comes to free 3D modeling programs. It has everything a program needs for industry standards in the 3D world. It is just as good as all the other industry standard programs, and it's free. It also has 3D animation capabilities and rendering capabilities, though you might need a slightly beefier computer to be able to access those features lag-free. As well as it is also not compatible with mobile devices, but it is compatible with Chromebooks as long as you're willing to go through a few hoops. Another slight hurdle to get over might be that it's a little overwhelming to get into when just starting off, so a good substitute might be something like Tinkercad, which is a website and is fully compatible with every computer like Chromebooks. Or SketchUp, which is also industry standard, but the recent version costs money. If you can sit down and spend the time to learn how to use Blender, then it is definitely the go-to program for 3D modeling. Overall, I give Blender a 3.5 out of 5 for compatibility, a 5 out of 5 for features, a 3 out of 5 for easiness, and a 4 out of 5 for performance. Of course, all these programs have their pros and cons, so be sure to choose the one that suits you the best or your class's needs the best. If you'd like to support us and our creation of free arts education videos, check out our Patreon, link in description, as well as all the rewards we have to offer there. If you'd like to join our community of art nerds, then check out our Discord. Again, link in description. Now, without further ado, the best program, in our opinion, for digital art is, of course, the one and only Medibang. Medibang just has so much to offer when it comes to features, and it's the most accessible program on the entire list that we just gave. And that's why we recommend it for all of our digital art classes and our lessons on YouTube. If you'd like to check out some more programs that we didn't mention in this list, be sure to check out the description. We'll be updating that because the list changes so much. There are so many new programs that are coming out and so many updates that are coming out from older programs. And well, that's the end of the video. So thanks for watching, and go be creative.